Up your shaft.
Hey everybody, Adam here. Al has been too ill to record the last week or so. It's been really rough on him, but he is getting better. He will live to trek again. In the meantime, we needed an episode for this week. So I pulled one of my favorites from the first season that we ever did, the Squire of Gothos. Some of you might be jumping in with us more recently on Next Generation. I know you could go back and listen to it, but I figured I'd put it in the feed at the top. So enjoy the Squire of Gothos.
He's dead, Jim. He's dead, Jim. He's dead, Jim. He's dead, Jim. He's fascinating.
Hello, welcome to episode 16 of Trek in the Valley, the podcast where two dudes in the valley talk about Star Trek, the original series. I'm here. My name is Adam Ordal Quinnell, and I'm here with my co-host, with the Mo-host.
Hi, my name is Al Hirt. What's going on, guys?
Yes, go on, find how to get a hold of us and tell us what is in fact going on. So if you've been listening to the podcast, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for putting up with us learning how to do this stuff. And I think it's going pretty well. I think, Al, you've been doing a really good job producing the episodes.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
The 30 seconds that I'm able to tolerate to make sure that the file works, to put it on the thing, it always sounds good.
There's like way too many steps. I wish you could just upload it and go, you know?
Yeah, I also wish I had a button to press when I have to clear my throat, but we'll get there, gang.
Yeah,
maybe for season 2, we'll have a cough button. So yeah, I'm Adam, and we're here in the sunny San Fernando Valley today. It actually is sunny after many weeks of rain. Today is January. Hold on here. January 22nd. And you are probably hearing this 3 or so weeks after. We're getting a little bit more caught up. So maybe by the time, in the next few weeks when we make recommendations for what we're doing, it'll actually be shit that you're doing now.
Yeah, somewhat relevant now.
Might be current. Like you'll be on, like, as it stands when I talk about The Last of Us or whatever. It's like, so 6 weeks when you're episode 6 you're on episode 6 of The Last of Us, but we recommend it. The most popular fucking thing on the planet right now. So we are here to talk about another episode of Star Trek, the original series. We're a little over halfway through season 1 of this adventure. We're much like, Al and I are much like the cast of the Enterprise. The cast.
We're finally getting crew. We're finally getting our stepping in, though. I feel like these episodes have been getting a lot smoother. We're a little more comfortable on the mic.
We're learning. And just like the crew of the United Starship Enterprise.
Yeah, United Starship.
And so last week we talked about a fantastic episode called the Galileo 7.
The Spock special, I call it.
Exactly. It's a good Spock epi. There was a lot of gigantic spears hitting people in the chest.
Yeah, and then fog.
There's lots of fog. A very fog-heavy episode. They wanted to cover the fact that
though. Their shins were covered.
Yeah, it was not a great. Of the episodes that we have watched, like coming off of the 1-2 punch of Balance of Terror and Shore Leave.
Yeah, those two were really good.
Actually, 1-2 punch of Balance.
I keep thinking of that too, though. I keep going back to Balance of Terror. That episode was so good.
And actually, Balance of Terror is the episode that I released today, so it's 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, right.
I keep thinking it's like there was a sketch on Mr. Show, Bob Odenkirk and David Cross's show from HBO called Pre-Taped Call-In Show, and it's one of the great sketches. Find it online, Pre-Taped Call-In Show. We'll watch it after this. I won't make you look it up. But yeah, it's that same kind of shit where it's like they're in the past, but playing something that's in the future. Anywho, getting distracted. I drank.
All right, well, let's start the episode.
So we're to this week, though, we're talking about the Squire of Gothos, which is episode 17 of Star Trek, the original series. And this aired originally on January 12th, 1967.
We're kind of in sync.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's like 120 years ago. How long is it? I'm bad at time. Year math. No, I know. I was just having fun. It's 80 years ago. I knew what it was. It's like between 73 and 85 years ago.
56.
No
right?
way. 56? No, it'd be because it's 2023 right now.
Yeah, that's right.
So you would go 2023 minus 1967.
That's 56 years.
56 years.
Yeah. 2023 minus 1967. I keep doing it. I can't believe it either.
I'm baked. I'm sorry. I drank a weed drink. Extra
it's not that
weedy.
old. Yeah, come on now.
80 something.
It's coming up on 60 years though.
So I just want to take a moment to say, look, I could ask Al to edit that out where I had no fucking clue what math, but we will not. Because if there's one thing that I have as a fledgling podcaster, it is integrity.
We just got to keep the levels fine. That's all I worry about, honestly.
So the synopsis for this episode is a powerful entity known as Trelane torments the crew of the Enterprise.
That's a pretty good synopsis. I was just trying to think of like a good way to sum this up in a sentence.
Doesn't give away the twist at the end, which is the same twist that they use in the Futurama episode about.
I have something else that connects with it too. We'll bring that up later.
But and then as usual, we're going to do our Chekhov check-in. We are 12 episodes away from the awesome wigs of Chekhov, and then my Google Doc begins the notes. So here's how this episode. It's pretty simple, actually.
There's no B plot.
I'm not going to give you the twist at the end, but I will try to summarize it. Here's what happens. The government, the Enterprise is exploring a star desert where there's like no stars and it's like just vast, right?
Oh, okay.
And so they're exploring a star desert. They find a weird little planet out there. Kirk and Sulu get transported down to the planet in a snap. Other people follow them down there. The atmosphere is supposed to be toxic, but when they get there, it's like a Victorian drawing room. They find a castle. There's a being named Trelane, who's basically a Q kind of thing.
That's immediately what I thought of.
He says they can control matter. And they said they can control...
They manipulate matter by converting it into energy.
Other matter.
No, they convert it into energy, but then they change the energy back into matter. Yeah. They could choose either the same piece of matter or they can manipulate it into other pieces of matter. But they didn't really clarify the rules of what matter and what which, but I wasn't too worried. They just say
transform and transport.
Yes.
And so then Kirk is at their whim. Trelane is a petulant space all-knowing being, sort of, and then so everything looks like it looked on Earth, but there's no smells or fire or heat.
Catches, and
then at the end, Trelane and Kirk have this big standoff, and there's a good twist at the end. That's basically the story of the episode.
Right.
They are on the planet, they go back up, they trick Trelane. It's very much like a straightforward Star Trek plot. But we're so basically, like I said, they're going through this star desert, and I really like the moment where fucking Kirk and Sulu disappear.
Oh, it's great. I was like, that's a neat little trick. It's so classic and straightforward.
The same kind of special effects that Sam Raimi and the boys would have used in their Super 8 films that they made in their youth. You stop it and you move the person off. One thing I want to take a moment to talk about, because we're trying something new on the pod today. I decided we've got the episode playing on a screen on mute just to kind of keep us on track. But I fucking love the title cards on these re-released or remastered Star Treks. The text is so sharp and the space shot, they always have it hanging over some awesome space shot.
Oh yeah, they've worked so much footage too.
Great. We get a couple of new crew members. There's a new
navigator.
There's a new navigator, and there's also they have a science doctor who's like a doctor of plants and shit. Who is also kind of a new person. And I wanted to pull up, I have the IMDb here for this because we get we get a few crew members that we wouldn't have, that would be new. Richard Carlisle plays Jaeger. He's the German crew member. Because
that part was so strange.
There's a lot of time specific. They reference the Nazis. It was a different time, even though this was only 15 years after all that shit. But so they're flying through this space desert. We got new cast members, new crew members, and there's a really funny. They find this planet, right? And it's a toxic environment. But then suddenly on a view screen here, it just happens to be coming up. On the view screen, they get a message that's like an old-timey message that says, "Greetings and solicitations, hip hip hurrah and tally ho." And so then they're going to send a search party down to find Kirk and Sulu, because this is after they disappeared.
Yeah,
Spock is now in charge on the bridge. And that's basically Spock's part of the story of this is Spock gets Kirk and the crew out of a jam in like 20 minutes here, and that really makes that Trelane guy angry.
Yeah, it does.
Trelane really doesn't like Spock. So they go down to the planet and they find this castle, like an old-timey castle. They find a couple of dead aliens that have cobwebs on them. But then they find Kirk and Sulu, and they're frozen in place. There's a lot of very funny beats.
Stage at place, and they're like in the same pose that they were, when they beamed off of the Enterprise. So it's pretty funny to just see them like in that same pose, trying not to twitch at least.
Well, plus they didn't do what you would think and just have a still frame of them.
Yeah,
you could see the actors blowing in the breeze just a teeny little bit.
And just breathing, just like tensed up.
And then now that having it on the screen, I'm realizing something we forgot to mention is how hilarious the Enterprise breathing devices are for going down to the toxic atmosphere of this planet. They're basically like
no skin protection.
They're like nitrous masks. They're like for at the of course only at the dentist for nitrous, never recreationally. And
yes.
They go into this castle with their little breathing masks on. They find this guy who looks like a cross between Napoleon and Liberace.
Yeah, you said, is that Liberace?
I literally Googled. I was like, is that motherfucking? Because honestly, the episode would be like, I think of it's like that line in Dazed and Confused when he's like, you got a joint? And he's like, no. And he's gonna be like, you'd be a whole lot cooler if you did. It's like, this would be a whole lot cooler if that actually was Liberace.
Yeah.
And he introduces himself as General Trelane. And they're in this Victorian-looking drawing room, and one of the things that kind of runs through the episode is Trelane is always going back to playing this fucking harpsichord.
He's a bizarre character, though, from the very start.
They walk in, and he's playing this harpsichord, and it's like, bang, 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 harpsichord, Victorian music. And his hand, he's just like, it's so hilarious moment of person just flailing their hands around over the keys of a thing for making a TV show. And they find out that this Trelane guy, that's when he explains, hey, some beings have figured out how to transform and transport matter. And I'm one of those beings. And I want to study you. But what's his deal? What's he seem most concerned about, Al? This is a trivia.
Oh, this is so bizarre, though, that like he just focuses on that as just war and the way humans fight each other. Oh, and the very specific line I wanted to point out was he goes, "You're one of the only predatory species that preys on itself." And that was like, that line really kind of stood out,
Bigger thing, though, fucking rules. I have that same line in my notes.
Great.
What the curious thing, though, is how did he know that? So this being has been observing Earth from afar from about millions of miles, light years.
They make a number, though. They
say 700 to 900 years. They say 900. Yeah. So basically, Kirk says this is Earth, but it's 900 years ago. And the being Trelane is like, oh, did I make a mistake?
Yeah, he just has no idea. But then this is kind of like the one... It's kind of like the first crack in like his defense, right? Of like, you see like, oh, he did. That's kind of an initial mistake.
Yep. And he said, I've been looking in on your lively doings of Earth just now.
Yeah.
Trelane is great. Really great lines.
Actor, yeah.
Fantastic. I think it was, I want to say Jim Campbell.
I hated his character, but it was for the right reasons, you know?
Yes,
I was frustrated, but it was like, that's because he was doing his job right.
William Campbell, who was also in Dementia 13. Oh, he played Koloth. He played Koloth, a Klingon, in an episode of Deep Space Nine. I love it when people from the original series come back. And of course he is, now that I think about it. Of course that's him. Yeah, he stands out. So basically this guy is just concerned about war and women. He's like he's like a kind of another space incel, sort of. It's
bizarre though, but like, who's that into war?
And I don't know if so why would a being, let's think about this for a second. Let's try and actually get philosophical on the podcast. A being watching Earth from bajillions of miles away, right? Why would they focus on war? Do you think it's because that's what would stand out as being the most disruptive?
I was trying to think of like what happens the most often. Maybe it's like battles in between man and man, and then army and army, and country and country that people like.
What causes the most change? That like ripples.
But it's like religions get made. Those are big events, right? I'm trying to like think of like what are big events in human history that are like observable, because I was bringing up like, oh, what about the printing press? What about the Renaissance? Like, what if he was really into art instead of just war?
So,
but there's other things in art and war, obviously.
I guess we have to give away the little twist then, and you've talked about it, but it turns out, so at the end of the episode, it turns out that Trelane is actually just a child of these other adult energy beings. Right? And they're like, Trelane, you have to put your toys away. You can't have pets if you're not going to take care of them.
But
that's why war. That's the only reason I brought that up, though, because he's a kid. So he's fascinated by it.
That's true.
And if he had visibility into our time, he would be like Cars and the Fast and the Furious.
And the other part, though, that where they show his weaknesses, though, because what I loved about this episode, and I turned to Adam too, when Bones, well, it comes up later, but it's Bones, Spock, and Kirk. They're discussing like, you know, what this alien's weaknesses are, and I was like, this feels like a JoJo episode when like all the heroes are trying to figure out like what the villain's like weaknesses and stands are, so that way like they can solve the puzzle that like they're just caught in and trapped in, you know.
That's what JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is about.
It's like a lot of good episodes are like that, where like some villain shows up and they have to figure out like what exactly they have to do to defeat it, even though the odds seem really messed up. Because at first I was like, oh, he controls time, you know, Trelane, and that's how he's able to do this. But then it comes back to more of like, what, it's a machine, right?
Well,
but
no,
then he's also a super being.
He's using a machine.
Yeah.
So that's
he's using the machine to do these things.
So Trelane refers to it as my instrumentation, because they destroy his machine that's helping him create the environment, and then he brings them back and says, did you think that was my only means of instrumentation?
Bizarre.
Before we get too Bizarre Adventure.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Before we get too far away, I want to say what's interesting about this exchange between Trelane and Kirk and the crew and the crewmen who are there with him is he's really interested in war, right? But he's meeting humans who are from a time period beyond war. So he expects them to show up all macho, and like he makes them he gets their women down there at one point and is making a big deal out of that.
That scene's so awful.
So weird, because there's a lot of forced dancing. Like, you know, that if they were making this now, they'd, but so you pointed out that great line, human is one of the few predator species that preys even on itself. And Kirk says, but we're beyond that now. You were looking at us at our 900 years ago.
Back then, yeah.
Now we're scientists, and Trelane has this other good line where he's like, come on now, we're all military men under the skin.
That part was so weird. I was just like, where does he get this from, you know? But obviously,
he's a child
at the end.
He's a fucking idiot. He's a fucking incel dumbass child in his parents' space basement. So he's an alien obsessed with war. That he gets a phaser. He talks about transforming matter. Dude's just an asshole. And
but the cracks, right? What they discuss is, what's not great about the place that they're at. Excuse me, I'm talking about the castle that they're in and stuff.
Yes.
But I forgot. It's the German
Jaeger.
Jaeger. Yes, Jaeger brings up like, Kirk, there is a fire, but there's no heat. And Bones is like, this brandy's awful, but I'm going to keep drinking it.
Yeah, he's like, this brandy tastes like piss, but
I'd rather drink some water, but
I'd rather drink fake piss brandy. And he said that the hay would taste better. He said hay would taste better.
So this is like one of the things is like, he's obviously intelligent, but he doesn't like understand everything yet. And yeah, I see the other line that you wrote too that I really liked also, where Spock says like, I'm, objecting you. I do not like intellect without discipline, intellect without purpose, And that's when the layer starts to unfold of like who Trelane actually is. And, it all comes up to a wonderful finale at the end.
So, so they get down to the planet and they meet Trelane, right?
Yeah.
How I refresh my memory. How do they get back up to the ship? Like Kirk's got a plan, right?
Oh, no. So they're messing around down there, and Spock and Scotty are arguing on the Enterprise, and Scotty's like, what do we do? And Spock's like, we're just going to shoot at random spots of the planet and we're going to beam up all the life.
Yeah.
And then he goes, what does that mean? And he's like, look, it's better that we shoot at all rather than just waiting and doing nothing. And Scotty's like, he gives him a look that's hilarious.
Scotty's like, it's going to be a lot of work.
That's how they get out. Yeah.
Well, so it's a twofold thing because
True.
Kirk has to buy enough time. Kirk assumes that Spock's working on it because obviously there's no communication.
They click though. That's how they know. That's why he's his first man, right?
So Kirk has to buy them some time. And that's when Kirk, because we've already gone through there's this very uncomfortable sequence when Trelane snaps his fingers and the yeoman and Uhura are teleported down, and he forces Uhura to play the harpsichord, and she's like, I don't know how to play this. And he goes, but you do. And then she's like, bang, 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 harpsichord.
It feels very Q-like before Q,
I'm glad we didn't forget to mention that. Yeah, because it is a lot of...
though.
It is a lot of. He is like a weak ass Q.
It's like, a precursor to what it's going to be.
Exactly. We're going to see more beings that can manipulate matter and space because that's all that's out there is matter and space.
I'm really surprised that they ramped it up this soon too. But I guess it is episode 16.
Well, plus this is also very Twilight Zone. This is very Twilight Zone movie of the science fiction movie of the week type shit. True. Because you can do a lot with stopping the camera and changing the set and then starting or edit, with editing and shit. So there's a lot of that in like Twilight Zone of the time too.
It's never not cool to see though, know?
I love it. I fucking love it. And so then Kirk so the Squire, he calls himself the Squire of Gothos. Gothos is the planet. Trelane calls himself that. Trelane brings the yeoman and Uhura down, and Trelane is forcing the yeoman to dance with him. He like snaps his fingers, and she's wearing a fancy ball gown.
Oh yeah.
And then how Kirk buys them time is he challenges Trelane to a duel.
Yes.
And
pistols.
I can't remember. How does he think about the mirror? He realizes, so there's this big mirror that Trelane is always talking in front of.
It's when they're discussing the weaknesses. They're like, okay, the fire's done. The food's bad. The brandy doesn't taste good. He knows about Earth, but he doesn't know everything. He's 900 years late. And then I think Spock brings it up that the mirror's like, it's kind of strange. And Kirk says, yeah, he's been standing near it the whole time and he hasn't really left.
They mention, could that just be ego?
Yeah.
Or is it something Spock says, actually, it might just be ego. And Kirk says, no, I think you're wrong.
Something else.
Something.
Yeah.
So then Kirk challenges Trelane to a duel. Trelane picks pistols just like Hamilton and Burr. And this is where we follow up on the 900 years.
There's one line, though, in particular that I highlighted. I remember Kirk says, I think I could turn off the lights at the source. And you're like, I wonder what he's going to do. And then that's when he challenges Trelane to the duel.
Yes.
Because he wants their pistols.
And that's when we were like, wait, when did Trelane because Napoleon was in the 1700s, and they say Kirk says it's 900 years ago, and I had to just look.
I was thinking too hard.
These are TV writers in the 60s. They don't care. They're just smoking cigarettes and drinking scotch.
They got to pump these scripts out.
Yeah, they got to get these scripts down to the set. God damn it. The director needs those new pages of the Star Trek program. And so Kirk challenges him to a duel. He actually slaps him with the lady's glove. He takes her glove off and he slaps the Squire of Gothos.
Do you want violence? You have it.
Across his fucking Liberace looking face. And so
what happens during the duel, Adam?
They're gonna fight. Then he gets out the pistols, just like Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr.
Yeah, that was like,
and it's really funny because he doesn't know how pistol duels work, so they walk apart, and he's like, "Okay," Squire of Gothos, Trelane says, "Okay, I get the first shot though," and Kirk's like, "We both shoot at the same time," and Trelane's like, "My game, my rules."
It's like, okay.
And so Kirk says, all right. And Trelane threatens to shoot one of the women first if Kirk doesn't play his game by his rules. So then Kirk agrees to let him shoot first. And he shoots a shot in the air. Like he's like being funny and magnanimous. Like, fuck it. And then instead of shooting Trelane, Kirk shoots the mirror, which breaks Trelane's illusion, and they get beamed up. Trelane it was at that time
immediately.
Yes. So Trelane gets really mad as they're being beamed away, and he knows that Spock did it because then and then they get up to the bridge. They talk to Spock, and so it wasn't actually Spock that mentioned them. Oh,
no, they're already down. Yeah, that's the second time they're down, Adam. And they leave.
We didn't even
again.
talk about so the first time they went back to the ship, Trelane went up there.
Yeah, exactly.
And then brought them back down. Mm-hmm. So then the duel is later. Okay.
Yeah.
How the fuck did they get back the first time?
The first time they got back, dude, I just mentioned this like 10 minutes ago.
He's beaming him up.
Yeah,
they're beaming everything.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
They first get back up when they beam everything, and then they go back down, and then they go back up the second time once they blow the mirror up. And what's he says?
I think the reason
we're out of here, and then Trelane's like, "You're gonna regret that. I'm gonna give you something so terrifying." He challenges him. Yes. Yeah, he challenges him. Okay. And then they leave.
So here's why I didn't remember that, because I was mad that they would beam everything up, because that's grossly irresponsible.
We did make a joke about that.
What if they just beamed up a virus or a bacteria? They're just beaming up random patches of light, or half a horse. The first time it's Spock doing the beaming pattern, and then Trelane comes up and is like, "Spock, I'm mad at you." And then he uses his Trelane powers to bring a bunch of them back down to the surface.
He just snaps his fingers and they do that trick,
But then
that neat with camera trick.
And so when he shoots the mirror, he breaks the signal dampener that was stopping them from being able to beam out and get communications out.
Yeah.
And then he beams them up. And that's when he tells Kirk, "You're going to be sorry for this. I'm going to challenge you." And they beam up and they just leave.
I know. I was really surprised about that.
So this is when I paused it to see how much of the episode was left, because I was curious about if that was the last act break or if there's going to be another one.
Yeah.
So they get away and they're in the ship, and
I was really surprised. They usually take care of it.
The USS Enterprise. I was like, "Oh wow, they're just leaving everything down there. Whatever."
I mean, he sounds really scared.
They're just running from a planet that they don't know about the energy being nature of this thing yet. So then the energy being the planet actually Gothos. There's a really funny the planet Gothos actually follows them, so it gets in front of them and it wiggles around. There's a lot of really great shots of the planet zipping around on the viewfinder.
It's kind of terrifying though, because what is it? Kirk's like, "Sulu, turn. What is it? Adjust.
Yes, he's yelling adjust, and we get to oh man.
What happens? They're about to crash on the planet.
So they're about to crash into the planet, and instead of crashing into the planet, Kirk just shows up in a black space where Trelane is dressed like an old-timey judge with the big judge wig.
Yes.
Which brings up more Q.
Yeah, I was just like, this is so...
Just like Crisis at Farpoint, parts 1 and 2, the first 2 episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation, where they introduced one of the great long-running foes / frenemies of Picard, Q, in the first episode of the series.
Greatest rivals too.
Q.
But that was a risk, wasn't it? Older scripts too that Star Trek had lying around that they were going to pick up. So this might be predecessor, you know?
Yep. And they wanted that. And it's just so funny to me that Q was in the most recent season of Picard, like 35 years later, after he was in the debut of one of the great sci-fi series. It's just so awesome how, because they probably didn't have foresight. I know that they didn't know that there was going to be a season 2 of Next Generation when they were shooting that shit.
That's what's nice, though. You know, they pick pieces apart of this, whereas, like, you know, once we get over the episode, I'll explain it more. But, you know, they pick apart, you know, this villain of like, oh, we'll just pick the best benefits of him. And I wrote this down in my notes of like, they really like the absurdity of power and like how funny that is. You know how they can just be like, oh, okay, you're not going to do that anymore. We're going to go over here now.
Yes.
Like, okay, now you're not going to have any clothes, or now you're going to speak this language, or now you're going to do this, and like they just mess with the crew.
That's also similar to yes, and that's also similar to Q as well. There's a really funny sound effect when they shoot the mirror. I wanted to mention the springy sound. I'm just kind of trying to make sure we don't miss any of the hilarious shit.
Oh yeah, no. So it's there.
so now it's just Kirk and Trelane, and it kind of feels like Kirk says, "Hey, look, let my crew go and just take me and have me represent the crew. Let the crew go on."
And he says, "Where's the sport in a simple hanging?"
Oh, we get to the where's the sport in a simple hanging. So Kirk, after he tells Trelane, let the ship go and just take me, Trelane agrees. The ship leaves, hopefully very slowly, hoping Kirk figures shit out. And that's when Kirk is on trial.
He said that he told Spock to give him an hour. So I was like, oh man, he only has 30 minutes.
Give me an hour and then circle back for me. Like when your mom would drop you off at the arcade. Like, give me 2 hours and then circle back and maybe I'll be dead. And so the whole time Kirk is in this little trial, there's like a hilarious shadow of a noose behind him.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
And he's on trial for, this is kind of timely, insurrection.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. This is this energy being's January 6th. And Kirk says, look, where's the sport in a simple hanging, like you said?
Yeah.
So Kirk proposes, hey, let's be rivals. Let's get to it. Mono is space being, right?
He's appealing to his war.
Yes, he's appealing to his humanliness.
Ugh.
Disgusting stuff.
It's hilarious.
So the Trelane says, well, here's what we'll do then. I'm going to hunt you. You're going to go out in the forest and I'm going to hunt you. And so Kirk goes out in the forest, and then Trelane just appears next to him, like with his energy being powers. It's like, that's not.
Yeah, you turned to me and was like, "That's not hunting.
That's not hunting. That's
just
not
popped up.
That's not how you hunt something."
Again, absurdity of power at play here, you know. And he's just chasing him, and it's kind of silly, but Kirk kind of holds his own.
Well, it's
for
really
not
funny
having any weapons
when Kirk is. Oh yeah, and also Kirk doesn't have a weapon. The other guy's got a sword. Kirk challenges Trelane, says, where's the simple hanging? And Kirk says, where's the terror of murder, the suspense? And Trelane says, Lord. The fun. You know what? I kind of think this guy's all right.
Serial killer vibes here.
Yeah.
Creepy vibes.
So just as Trelane is defeating Kirk, the energy being parents show up in the sky. Great effect.
Yeah.
Just like a glowing green blob. And they're like, Trelane, you know that you can't play. We're not going to give you any more pets if you can't take care of your toys.
The mom was like, if you can't take care of your pets, you shouldn't play with them.
We're not going to let you make any more planets.
Yeah, I was like, wow, the basement is the planet, Adam. That's what it is.
There it is. Yes, they send him to his own planet.
And he just keeps repeating, though. Trelane's like, I would have won. I would have won. I would have. And that creeped me out. That was just so weird.
Yeah, well, also, look, he's can do anything you want. You know, he's a stupid kid. Like, you can do anything you want. Why would you? Of course you should win. Like, it's not a good game for you, man.
It doesn't even make sense. And he just, like, spontaneously created cages around Kirk, and he's like, I trapped you. It's like, that wasn't even a game.
Yeah, that's right. So I
think that's the emphasis they're making.
That's how he won is by trapping Kirk with cages of his own making out of the ether by transforming and transporting matter. So the parents say, Kirk, we're sorry. We're going to let you go back to your crew. We're sorry that we disrupted your life streams by bringing you up here. Whoopsie.
What were you going to bring up, though, the references of the parents that come up later?
So in Futurama, they do the Star Trek episode Where No Fan Has Gone Before in season 2.
Yeah.
And it's like the premise is Star Trek became a religion and it was too dangerous. So they had to send all the tapes of the episodes out into space. And it crashes on a planet with an energy being named Melvar, who becomes a huge Trek fan.
Oh, that's great.
And then Spock's, Leonard Nimoy's head goes on an adventure with Fry to find the rest of the original cast who left Earth a long time ago. But Spock couldn't leave because he just signed a lease. Leonard Nimoy's head just signed a lease on a new apartment, so he had to stay back. And it's a really fucking great episode, but the joke at the end is that Melvar is a kid and he's like 35 and he lives in his parents' basement. He's a big fucking dork. And so they got that from this, obviously. And that's such a great episode. Like, honestly, if you listen to this podcast and you would like that episode of Futurama, even if you've never really watched Futurama, I think it's a good standalone for people who are fans of Star Trek.
I was also thinking, though, too, the situation, it eventually, it shows up also in Chicken Little when they think they're going to get invaded by aliens. And then these two parents just come out and they're like, hey, we're really sorry. Like, we left our kid. Like, we thought he, got kidnapped or that he got lost. So we just had to call everyone and call this entire planet search. And we would have checked everywhere. We would have invaded everything. But thank you so much for turning our son in. And we appreciate it. And we're really sorry. That's how it resolves.
I've never seen the contemporary Chicken Little. I just know the Sky is Falling one from the original. So when they have their last little moment on the bridge after all this, and Spock is like, how are we going to describe this being? And Kirk says, God of War or a small boy, and a naughty one at that.
And Spock's like, what do you mean?
And Kirk says, well, you must have played little pranks like dipping a girl's hair in the inkwells, or stuffing somebody in a locker, all these things. And then he looks at Spock and he's like, oh, that's right, you wouldn't do that. But here's why I think that's funny. It's like Spock wouldn't do it because it's illogical, but also you're talking about Earth shit from 1,000 years ago, motherfucker. Like you're as bad as Trelane, Kirk. And that's the episode. What did you think?
I thought it was great in the beginning and the middle. For me personally, it kind of went off in the end. The part that was cool was them, carving the planet and all that. But I feel like the way it resolved was quick, but I felt like they were running out of time and they just finished it, with the hunt and the cages and stuff. I'm like, maybe they could have written something a little clever, but it was funny that the parents just showed up and was like, whoops, okay, we're just going to put you back on the ship there, and we're really sorry about our kid.
I love that you say serial killer vibes, too, because it is how weird. They say that all serial killers start out hurting animals. We're not going to get into it in detail. We're not going to get into it in detail. I hate that shit.
Yeah.
But that's... It's just. So what that means, though, is also back in that time in the 60s, if somebody found that their son was abusing a pet or something, they wouldn't be like, he might be a serial killer. They'd be like, he's just weird. He's just a little weird. He's our little weirdo.
What's it called? Bates Motel. That one guy is really into what's that called when you stuff animals? Taxidermy. He's just really into taxidermy, and it's that's kind of not
Bates Motel, which is based on Psycho.
Yeah,
he was also
based on Psycho,
taxidermy heavy as well. Psycho,
bizarre. But anyways,
I liked it. I thought it was a fun episode. I thought that Trelane was a good character. There was a couple double beats, they get away twice. You know what I mean? Like it always,
us.
and it confused me, which, and you know, I am dumb. I will admit that, but there was a couple double beats. And also when you're dealing with a being that can just change the set, it's like, where are we? Because I thought when they went back, like Trelane said, I can make this look like my castle, and he snaps his finger and then the bridge is suddenly the castle, right? But I guess what he did was he actually transported them down to the surface. But he even really suggests quickly that he's going to just reconfigure the molecules for the bridge to look like the castle.
Yeah, but
they were just
terms are tricky.
This was written by sweaty drunks with very narrow suspenders.
There wasn't any geeks or nerds like, well,
look, I don't. Sorry to say they're drunk. I just imagine them being like madmen,
stressed.
But I imagine them being like madmen. Because you know, ultimately, if this becomes a popular Star Trek podcast, maybe people related to the show will listen to it sometime. And I just want you to know, if your grandpa wrote for Star Trek, I got nothing but respect for you. I thought this was a good episode. I thought, because I love that Futurama episode, because I love Q, because I love Kirk having a one-on-one battle of wits. I just thought that it was pretty good, and it did drag, and there was a couple double beats, but I thought that it was enjoyable.
My favorite part was them figuring it out, like Bones, Spock, and Kirk. It just reminded me of JoJo, but also well, I was reading in the compendium here that we have. The Star Trek
compendium.
That it says here, the implications of his encounter, Kirk's encounter with Trelane are staggering. This boy has created a planet out of nothingness in the same manner that a human boy may create a mud pie in a sandbox. So it's implying that, like, they're very different beings. Like, they're powerful, but then they need a machine to, like, manipulate all the matter. It's tricky. I mean, I was trying to look too into it, but again, this is like no balance of terror. This isn't isn't
an
too
episode
deep, you know?
Like, think about this. They're making this episode, and an episode of the show had not, like, or the episodes had just started airing recently, you know? Right. So it's like, they don't, like, that's what's so strange about like a season of television. You can't course correct like you can now.
Oh no.
But
the other thing I was going to mention too,
more
though,
from the compendium.
Yeah, the reason why you said it felt kind of stagnant because the budget of Square was apparently kept as low as possible by furnituring the interior of Trelane's castle with a large store of furniture, paintings, and other objects from the Paramount extensive prop department. Many of these props included or appeared in the film The Buccaneer, and also the decorations of the full-body costume of the salt vampire from The Man Trap.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
the salt vampire.
You were like, that's what it is.
That motherfucker, the salt vampire from The Man Trap.
Which can be seen as a prop near the front door of Trelane's home.
And Trelane shoots that with the phaser, and it explodes.
Oh, that's right.
Good stuff.
Yeah, very straightforward. I think they're just getting back into like their routine because I don't know, man. Those two episodes are so killer.
Yeah, and if you're new to the show, can I see the compendium really quick?
Oh, yeah,
when we say the compendium, I just want to see the cover. When we say that, we're talking about, so I don't want to be like a Star Trek podcast anybody would turn to for like facts and trivia about Star Trek. I just want to talk about episodes of Star Trek.
Yeah,
but as a fun, Al found the Star Trek Compendium, the complete reference book, including a show-by-show guide and over 125 rare and exciting photos, written by Alan Asherman. And this came out in like the 80s, right?
I think like late 80s, early 90s.
Let's see. Copyright 1989.
Yeah.
And artwork from the original series. So, I was like, we're not going to Google anything. We're not going to really learn about Star Trek. But if we have something like that, like something that we found at a thrift store that's got some information.
Why, it's fun to figure out like, why does this feel this way? Or why is this happening?
Yep, because
they ran out of time.
It's oftentimes just driven by Paramount's purse strings, And we also look up the IMDb. There was great guest star. We didn't talk about the guest stars as much in this one, but there were great guest stars. Google it, IMDb it, and figure it out. Do you have anything else you want to say about this episode of Star Trek?
No, I mean, not really. I mean, yeah, the guest star did a great job. Everybody just felt right back into their beats, I don't know, the ending felt quick, it's just like very quick and straightforward.
Yes, they get to a point where something needs to happen.
Impossible. Yeah,
it needs to be resolved.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then Deus Ex Machina, the parents show up and say, "Hello,
okay, bye.
Get out of here, Kirk." And, one thing I wanted to mention. I totally forgot one thing that the space mom says. We regret that the life paths of yourself and your companions was disturbed. We wouldn't have let him intercept you had we known your vulnerability. So he's basically, we wouldn't have let our kid play with you if we'd known you were such widow fucking babies, space babies.
And they treat him like kids because Kirk's like, "Who are you?" And then they're just like, "We're sorry, bye."
Yeah.
Just no answer.
Love it.
I like how mysterious it is, though. So we'll see what they're up to next week.
Love it. Okay, so as far as, and then now we get to the part of the show where we talk about like recommending media or games or whatever. It's dumb to talk about because it's such a big phenomenon, but The Last of Us was really fucking good. I enjoyed the game. I played it on PS3 and the PS4 one.
Same here.
Really turned out great, didn't it? Fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty great shot for shot, but that's what it is, and that's exactly where I stand by it.
And people love it. And you mentioned that people were mad that it's almost too close. Not mad, but
a handful. But it was just concerning.
These are people who are saying it's so much like the game that I feel like I'm not getting a new experience.
But at the same time,
those motherfuckers would complain if it wasn't like the game.
It's already out. It's something that exists that probably would have never existed years ago. You know, like TV writers are turning to video games for scripts. You know, like Uncharted was a fucking dud, dude.
Well, also one thing that's jumped out to me about the discourse around The Last of Us is people are like Craig Mazin, the showrunner who also did Chernobyl and a bunch of other stuff. And he wrote like The Hangover 2 and 3. That's how he got his start. So Craig Mazin he's saying this is the great, everybody's talking to him about it, obviously, because he's promoting the show.
God, yeah.
And he keeps saying, "Oh, this is the greatest story in video games, and we brought it to TV." And some folks are like, people are, well, so hold on. So people are not mad, but people are discussing that on Twitter saying, there's actually a lot of games that have better stories than The Last of Us. And it's like, Craig Mazin has to say it's the best story. He's promoting something that cost $100 million to make.
Maybe that's the only one that like he's really known, or maybe like he's known someone that's played it. And it's like it's amazing. You know?
I mean, all he's doing is promoting his show.
Well, that's the good thing that you brought that up, because I was thinking too. Apparently, I'm not sure if this is true, but the Shadow of the Colossus script stuff has been figured out, and it's gonna be a TV series.
Do you know who's producing it?
Come out? No,
is it Amazon or?
I would think either Amazon or Netflix would take it, but I don't know. Again, it's got to have the big pull, you know? Because even I feel like The Last of Us might have been a little late, but they had to come out with the part 2. They had to flesh out the rest of the story. So we'll see what ends up coming of that. But other than The Last of Us, what else was on your recommendations, you think?
God, dude. I watched, honestly, I'm just going to say I've been watching a lot of cheesy horror movies from the late 90s, early 2000s. And today I watched The Ruins, which is 49% rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. But I had just finished watching something else that was 15% rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, so I obviously do not give a fuck.
The point difference helped, though.
But I think I actually had seen this movie before, but it's about these people who get stuck on a Mayan temple with like a killer plant. Huh. And it's it's gross as hell. Somebody cuts like their own leg apart and shit. It's very visceral and gross. Oh, and speaking of which, the trailer is out for The Evil Dead Rise, which is going to come out a couple months before that happens. I'm very much looking forward to Evil Dead Rise.
That's going to be good.
Yeah. What about you? Aside from The Last of Us, what's something cool?
Well, I'm still watching JoJo, still playing Ghost of Tsushima. And then let's see here. What would I recommend?
Did we see M. Threegan after we recorded last week?
I think so, yeah. Oh, yeah, let's talk about that.
We went and saw Megan last week at PG-13 kind of thing.
Dude, I'm on the fence. Look, I might have that might be too like far ahead of its time, maybe they could get more watchability, but maybe they could have like an R version or a PG-13 version to see how that would play out.
It is PG-13. They're talking about how they might release an unrated version or an R-rated version for video.
That'd be perfect. Yeah, I'd watch it.
Like I think that I'm perfectly okay with PG-13 horror because I'm not like an old school horror head. Like I have like some horror stuff that I liked. But the way I see it is like PG-13 horror is just like Goosebumps and shit, you know?
Sometimes it works. No, sometimes it hits for sure because like the human brain is way more terrifying than anything someone can create, right? If you fill in that gap, you're way more likely to scare yourself.
I watched the original The Ring, not the Japanese, not Ringu, but I watched the first Naomi Watts The Ring yesterday. And it was, I mean, it's not great, but it's pretty cool, and it's PG-13.
Yeah,
it's PG-13. So it's. I thought Megan was good and funny, and I look forward to what they're going to do next. But it was definitely kind of like a viral movie sensation, where that was like everybody was talking about it that weekend, and now I haven't seen a tweet about it since.
Yeah, but I think it was the dance that was funny that got viral. But what I was thinking though was. It's not that it's missing something, excuse me, but you can tell like there was going to be longer sequences or maybe more characters were going to die, but that's just because you were saying like they got to hit a certain mark and it's PG-13 and they
cut away from stuff at a certain point.
I feel like she couldn't get away with too many things, but at the same time, I was really surprised at how well they like fit in the premise. I was ready for a stupid movie, dude, when I walked in, and I was like, "Oh, okay, this is actually kind of clever. Like, this isn't too bad."
They didn't get hung up on the science of it. They just said, "Oh yeah, she's a brilliant AI robot designer, and there's a robot that they make."
And then they're like, "Wow, it's thinking."
They don't really get hung up on it, but yeah. So watch out for. I think what we all learned is watch out for artificial intelligence.
Oh yeah, there we go.
And space beings.
Oh, the other thing I've been hearing recommended to me a lot though is dude, the new Puss in Boots. Apparently, it's amazing.
Everybody likes the new Puss in Boots. I want to see it when it comes to video.
I know. I was like, huh, who would have thought it's such like it feels like a straight to Disney Plus kind of energy, you know?
Well, I feel like those movies it's interesting that you say that because we are going to see like Encanto, and I mean, that was in theaters too, but we're going to see, I think, that kind of stuff is going to start being. It's going to be harder for us to get Pixar features in theaters when they can just put it on streaming.
Yeah, but I mean,
which is fine. I'm not a big.
It's got to be Pride though, dude. If they see, they're going to be like, "Oh, DreamWorks, they're making." Oh, people are talking like no people. Okay, but I feel like people would be more enjoyable to
Puss
talk about a movie
DreamWorks,
experience.
Right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, good.
And then that way, like, I feel like Disney would just do it out of spite because DreamWorks was created out of spite. But that'd be the only way they'd get back into the game. Because you're right. I mean, they could just post it on Disney Plus. They have less risk.
And also a new stuff, things that I like. I'll talk about it in more detail on the next episode.
Bad Batch too.
Oh, the new Bad Batches are good.
Yeah, I gotta watch that.
I'll talk about that in a future episode, and also I want to talk about Vox Machina in a future episode. The new episodes of Legend of Vox Machina, the D&D like show on Amazon, is so fucking good, dude.
Okay,
good. But so that's it for this week's episode. Thanks for hanging in there with us.
Thank you.
We are. This is Adam and Al from the San Fernando Valley.
Oh, what's next episode?
That's what I was trying. That's what I was desperately trying to do here. I want to see what we're talking about next week.
Let's see.
It's called Arena. So this is a fucking classic, dude.
Oh, okay.
It's like you'll know when you see the sequences from it, like. It has been parodied and everything. Mysterious aliens pit Kirk against a Gorn in a bare-handed duel.
These are the shots when they're in the desert, right?
Fucking hell, yes, it is.
Rocking each other,
yes.
I've
terrible
seen these
Gorn
clips.
costume.
Yeah.
It is.
These clips are everywhere.
I watched this episode so many times when I had COVID and was rediscovering this show. So next week we'll be back with Arena. Thanks for coming out.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
Of course, next week will actually be Star Trek The Next Generation Up the Long Ladder. Hear us then, gang. Bye. Trek in the Valley is brought to you by Adam Ordal Quinnell and Al Hirt. The theme was produced by Al. The episodes are engineered by Adam. You can email the podcast at trekinthevalley@gmail.com, or you can search for us on Bluesky and Facebook as Trek in the Valley and follow us over there. Please be sure to like, subscribe, rate, review, whatever you do on your podcast apps. It really helps us out. And never forget, always explore strange new fucking worlds.